Welcome to the PIO podcast. Today's guest is Antonia Steinmiller. She's a communications manager for the village of Homewood in Homewood, Illinois. Antonia leads strategic communications for a community that expects clarity, consistency, and transparency from its local government. Her work sits at the intersection of public trust, day-to-day municipal operations, and high-stakes moments where getting the message right actually matters. She has built a reputation for clear, human-centered communication that meets people where they are, whether it's a routine update or community engagement or navigating sensitive issues. Antonia understands the local government communication is about polish and about credibility. In this conversation, we are going to discuss what effective municipal communications really look like and how to maintain trust with residents and stakeholders and the behind-the-scenes decisions that shape how our community experiences local government. Antonia, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Lovely to be here.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get you on. I've been kind of watching you in the background on LinkedIn, seeing what you're doing, and I really like the way you communicate with your community.
Thank
You
you.
know, you do a really good job at it, and I'm like, I got to get her on, and see if she's willing to do it. So I'm really happy that you did this.
It's funny because I usually don't post on LinkedIn. I haven't, and I've just been starting to do it a little bit more. So, I'm getting my feet wet with LinkedIn. We post here and there for Homewood, but for my personal page, I just I'm so used to like work, and that I just kind of put it on the back end. So I'm getting better. I'm getting better.
Well, you're doing a great job, and what you're putting out on Facebook and your other platforms is really good too, and I'm really enjoying all
Thank
that
you.
stuff. All right, so you wear a lot of hats as a communication manager. How would you describe your role to someone outside of local government?
Yeah, I do everything. I'm a one-man show here, but I have a lot of support, which is nice. I know that many comms people don't, and I'm very fortunate to have a great manager team that supports me. I'm really close with our events manager here. She and I go hand in hand. We're like two peas in a pod. So I support her with events. She supports me with all of the campaigns. So it's nice. I manage all of our social media, which entails Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn, which, we're getting better at. I manage all of our website content. So, all the graphics, everything that's uploaded on our website, I handle all of that along with our IT manager. And then I do all of our public relations. So, all of our media relations, all of our press releases, all of that goes through me. I handle all of our graphic design. I am no graphic designer by any means. I do my best, but all of that creation comes through me for every department. All of our external communications, so all of our newsletters, all of our magazines, all of that, obviously, that goes under communications. And then lastly, and probably the most important, is our civic engagement aspect of my position. So I'm handling all of our initiatives with all of our residents too.
Do you sleep?
I don't. I'm constantly thinking about work.
Wow.
Actually, I'm getting better, but yeah, I mean, it's a lot. But every day goes by like this. I'm like, before I know it, I'm like, dang, it's lunchtime. And I'm like, dang, it's 5 o'clock. And so I have a list that just keeps growing and growing and growing, but I'm a check marker off lister,
Okay.
So for me, that's what gets me through. But yeah, I mean, I'm busy all the time, but I love it.
Yeah.
It's
Awesome.
what makes me me. So yeah.
Yeah, I noticed I've got a like a whiteboard or a calendar behind you. I used to use one of those all the time and had little sticky notes on them. And I got that one off the board. I'm good. If I have a clean board, there's something going wrong.
You know what? I stopped using this and now it's just a decoration on my wall because I couldn't keep up with writing and erasing and checking and all of that. So now it's just there.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So what drew you into public sector communications?
So this is a funny story. I didn't know anything about government. Well, I mean, like I knew the basics, everyone knows the basics, but I actually was going to be a high school history teacher in college. And I love history, English, writing, all of that. And so I got to college and I did the whole thing with going into being a teacher. And a girl in my cheerleading team, she was in a public relations writing class and she was doing this really cool stuff. This was when like Mac computers came out. She was designing and doing all these graphics. And I'm like, hey, Kim, what class is that? Like, I'm kind of interested in that. And she was like, oh, it's PR writing. I'm like, what is PR writing? Like, what is that? I never heard of it. And then I looked online and read about a publicist in New York City who did fashion PR. And I'm like, that sounds kind of cool. I like fashion. I like I like all this stuff. I like celebrities. And so I switched my major right then and there. I don't know what I was thinking. It was impulsive, but at that point, from that point on, I switched into public relations. And right out of college, I got a job at a PR agency downtown Chicago and quickly realized it was not for me. So then I was like, what am I going to do now? And my dad, he had worked for the village of Mount Prospect, the public works department, for, I don't know, like 20 something years before he retired. And he was like, you should get a job in government. And I was like, Dad, I like sports. I know fashion. I don't know anything about government. And he was like, no, they're good jobs. You need to get in there. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. So then I started looking around and here I am. And now it is encompassing everything that I love and that I'm good at, which is designing and creativity and writing and all the things and talking to people. I was a competitive cheerleader for, I don't know, over 20 years. I coached, I did it. And so for me, talking with people in person, going up to them, introducing myself, all of that comes natural to me just because was a performer, And so this is everything that encompasses who I am, this job. So I love it. And that's how I got started in it. It's crazy as it is.
Oh, it's very cool. No,
Yeah.
you kind of took a non-traditional route to get here.
Yeah.
Usually it's the journalism route that takes you, you go through, public journalism and you're in the news media or something, and then you end up at a local government or something like that. So you did it the PR way and was having an identity crisis. I can get that. I mean, PR is it's a tough world to live in. I mean, and it can be a little cutthroat.
And the job that I had right out of college, it was for a boutique agency. And I knew whatever I learned at school, it was not what this was. And so I was like, what am I doing? Like I did an internship with Q101 and The Loop, if you remember those stations back in the day in Chicago. So that was my marketing internship. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. I got this. And then I went into this agency where I'm like, it was more of like a salesy, like let's meet a goal every day. And I'm like, well, I'm not good at sales. I'm good at people things. I'm not good at sales. So for me, that was really challenging. And I went through a tough time because I'm like, what, this is supposed to be my career and I hate it. Like I do not like this at all. Fast forward to now, in 2024, 2025, Homewood was on the news multiple times for great stories that I pitched. It made me fall in love with that aspect of public relations again because now I'm like doing things that I know that I was once good at in a different way, in a different
Right,
setting. And
right.
that to me kind of brought back, like, I made so many new friends down at the stations downtown and just in all around in different areas of media. And it's brought that life back into me, of the one thing I went to school for.
Right. I should have asked this before. Can you tell us where Homewood's at? I know where it's at because I live in Chicago. So
Sure.
what about everybody else?
Sure. So Homewood is a tiny little town. We're right under 20,000 population. We are on the south suburbs of Chicago. So we're about 35 minutes on a good day on the Dirty Dan into the city. So if you are familiar with the state of Illinois, right? So I'm backwards, but Homewood is down here. Okay. So the city is up here. But yeah, so we're about 35 minutes south of the city, nestled into other suburbs. If you've heard of Orland Park, Tinley Park, those are the bigger ones. We're neighbors to those cities.
Okay, cool. Let's go to the next one. Homewood has that strong community identity, and I know part of that's because of you. How do you balance preserving that strong identity while modernizing how the village communicates?
Yeah, our identity is kind of, I guess, newer, in terms of our online identity. Our branding, all of that home sweet homewood that you see, our tagline, it's a very vibrant community. They are our residents, they love that small town feel, which is what we try to preserve, and so for us, we're just trying to keep it in that same like branding, in that small town feel. It's challenging sometimes, when you want to, branch out from that. But I'm a strong advocate of, let's not change it if it's not broken. And our branding, our colors, they've stayed the same. Like we haven't done a branding update. 2011 maybe was the last one.
All right, so I've never been a fan of a rebrand and just because
Yeah.
I honestly I think that what that becomes is a mayor or a village manager went to a conference and
Hmm.
some PR firm said, "Oh, you need to do a rebrand. It's a great way to redo
Hmm.
your community," and then you spend all this money on rebranding, and logos and patches, and you got to do it all over again. And then people still don't understand what you stand for.
Yeah. So actually, our official logo, which I don't have anything around here that has it right now. Our official logo was the logo from, I want to say, like 2008. So last year, I don't know, people are watching this and be like, "Oh my gosh, Antonia, I can't believe you did that." But I kind of changed it a little bit. And I started doing small little tweaks to our branding. I kept our same colors, I kept our tagline, just small things. And I started slowly integrating them into different pieces of our public communication. Now, our official communication still has our official village logo on it. However, we've started to branch out a little bit, and I kind of did it without asking. So
Well, you're the
here we are.
communications person.
But everybody, our board, my managers, everybody loves the logo that we kind of did. And I can grab a cup. So this is kind of it now. So it's a little newer. It's just words. It just says home sweet homewood, but it's just a little fresh. And so we've started to integrate that without changing too much, because you know what happened with Cracker Barrel. I was like,
Oh,
that's not
yeah,
happening.
yeah.
That's not gonna happen
If it's
here.
not broke, you change it.
Right. And people recognize our Homewood blue. They recognize the home sweet homewood. So now everything is kind of, sticking with that. But I will say that, this has been on some clothing that people are loving. And so we're going to try to roll that out more on the official side a little bit
Nice.
later. Yeah. So
All right. So public trust and all that is really important in any village setting because small communities, they've got to trust the government that works for them. How do you know when you're earning that trust?
I feel like you never know, honestly. I pride myself on being authentic at all times. So that is the one thing that I stand by, and that I am like, if we're not that, then we're nothing, right? And so for me, when I'm doing anything online or public facing, it's all about being authentic, and just thinking in my head, like, if I was talking to myself, am I buying what I'm selling? Like, am I going to believe what I'm saying? And if the answer is no, then we're not doing it, because we want to be authentic at all times. And you know, public trust is hard. I mean, it is. And there's different phases, you're going up the mountain like this, and then you reach a point, and then something happens and you're back down, and it's hard. And so for us, just making sure that everything that we send out, that we push out, is authentic and transparent at the utmost degree.
Cool.
Yeah.
Can you share an example where transfer of communication changed the tone of a difficult situation? Do you
Transparent.
have anything?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much. We just had a situation about a retention pond that had some chemicals in it that people thought may have been toxic. And our community is very, very passionate about, animal life and all of that, and which I am too, 100%. And so there was this situation where this retention pond may not have been appropriate for animals to be in it, or people to be fishing and eating the fish and all of that. And so, we did this whole study, this environmental study, and throughout the process, I don't know anything about science. Like, I know nothing, right? I'm a history girly. Okay. So for me, I'm like, I don't understand what this means. We got to dumb it down a little bit, at least so I can understand what I'm saying. And by doing that, putting it in not the scientific jargon that people are not going to understand, only a select few might, but for the general population, we did frequently asked questions. We made a web page on our website that hosted all of this information that allowed people to go there and to reference it. And we held nothing back. Like, everything that we did with this outside organization to come test the water and to do all these studies, it's all on our website. And I don't know if it necessarily changed the tone, but for me, I felt good about having all of that information out there so that it can be read by anybody, and we're not holding or hiding anything.
Yeah, and especially like South suburbs, there's been a number of communities that have had some cover ups about water. And so I could see where that could be a concern for people.
Hmm.
And I'm a big fan of using your website as a direction to send people for a one-stop shop. And I think we used to use websites for that all the time, and then everybody got into social media and people forgot to point it back from social media to your
Yep,
website. So kudos
absolutely.
to you for doing that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, we try to do that a lot. I mean, there's just so much information that sometimes you can't put all of it on social media. And I've learned throughout this entire process that social media, if it doesn't get your attention in 3 seconds, no one's reading your long posts, right? So if the people that want to read it, they'll read it on the website and it's all there. So
Yeah, especially when it's all condensed and it's simple to find. If it's a specific topic and having a one-stop shop for it, I think that that's the best way to do it. Outstanding. What communication channels have proven most effective for reaching your residents for you guys?
yeah, that is a good question. We're still figuring that out, honestly. And for me, um, I personally think Facebook is our best way to communicate. Not everybody is on Facebook, so this year we launched a new app. It is a village branded app. It is through GoGov, which is a great organization. They've been awesome with us. We actually launched it April 1 of 2025. So we're coming up to a year. Our goal was to get 2,500 subscribers, which is about a third of our household population, which is great. That's a good goal, I think. We're almost there. We were at like 80%, 87% at the end of December. So I'm hopeful that we'll make our first goal. But that app is great because for the people that aren't on Facebook or social media, they get push alerts right to their phone. And so when I need to send out important information, I do it through the app. So the app, our Facebook, and honestly, we have a magazine that we use. It's a quarterly printed, it's a beautiful magazine that goes out to every household. A lot of our older folks, they love that magazine. We've tried to, it's expensive, it can get expensive. And we were like, hey, how about a digital one? And they're like, no, we want the
Yeah,
printed one. I'm like, okay. So
older
we kept,
people, they want to have something in
yeah,
their hand. They want to
yeah,
read. They still read the newspaper.
yep. So
Yeah.
they love it, and we love it, and I love designing it. I work with a great designer. She does all the brunt work, but I gather all the articles and yell at my, department head colleagues. I'm like, I need your stuff. I need it today. Let's go. Let's go. So never ends. But so those are the
All
three,
right.
I think, and they're great.
That's awesome. So let's
Yeah.
talk about listening to your community. How do you listen to your community beyond the comments or emails that come in?
So this is something that we're still working on because it's civic engagement is not just inviting them to come here and then them tell us what they want and then us be like, all right, peace out. Great. Thank you for coming. No. So no, we're doing a civics academy. So that is where we have about 35 residents, business owners of Homewood. They come once a week for 6 weeks and twice a year, April and October, and they come to learn about their government. And so, they'll bring up ideas, we jot them down, and, they have direct access to us staff, all of the department heads. They're not always, you know, so keen on talking about themselves and things, and I get it. You people sometimes are not nice online, and so but we have had great resident participation so far. We started the program in the spring of 2024, so we almost have like around 150 graduates by the end of this upcoming session in April. Pretty good so far. But yeah, I mean, just engaging them in person, um and truly just listening to what they're saying and working off of that.
Right. No,
Yeah.
I it sounds like you're doing a lot of different things and ways to engage them. And I like that civic academy thing. That's a neat way of doing it.
Mhm.
It's kind of like a police academy, but not police related and more community related. I like that. And it brings in the whole community instead of just one
Absolutely.
department. So I like that. Do you have an issue adapting messages for different audiences without diluting your core message?
Not really, no. So usually our message is intended for all audiences. And our audience, I've done a lot of work on realizing who it is really. Our residents, they range from, I mean, a 16-year-old doesn't really care what we're doing here, but I would say between like early 20s up to people in their 80s, are interested in us. And the messaging is the same. It needs to be authentic, and that is the number one goal of mine and us as a village and as a team, is that whatever we put out is authentic and it's true, and that's it. I mean, there are different things that we do on like for reels and stuff like that I tailor to the younger generation to kind of get their attention. We just did one that I'm actually really proud of. It was a police reel for drunk driving, and we did it for Black Wednesday, and I've seen it's gone mega viral. It's probably our most viral video with like almost 1.15 million views.
Wow.
Yeah,
Now
since
that's
November.
awesome.
Yeah, so it was a whim of the moment. Like, I was like, "I need to do something for Black Wednesday about drunk driving." I'm like, "What can I do?" I'm looking around my office, and I have a bunch of stuff, like, all sorts of random things in my office, and my Marla, who's the events manager, her and I used to share an office, and on Fridays, we would listen to Usher, we would turn off our lights, and we would put on this disco ball that I got from Amazon, and we are the, like, 2 partiers, like, communications events, we go hand in hand. And so we would we would call it Feel Good Friday. And so we would like jam out. Everybody would come over and do a little dance. I mean, it's fun in Homewood, okay? And so I had this disco ball and I'm like, I'm gonna walk over to the jail. I'm gonna grab 2 officers and we're gonna like make it so that if you drink and drive in Homewood, your VIP after party on Black Wednesday is gonna be in a jail cell. And so we set up the disco light. I grabbed 2 officers. I was like, "Where are your breathalyzers?" And they're like, "We'll get them." So they stood out with their sunglasses on. They were like the bodyguards of the club. I made like a reserve sign and I put it on the jail cell bed. And I just added some like trending music to it. And it took off. And I had a feeling it might. I wasn't sure because sometimes, things are a flop, it happens.
Yeah.
But this one, I could tell right away once it started getting the views and how quickly the views were coming. I was like, "Ooh, this is going to be a good
Yeah,
one."
you hit the right message at the right time.
Exactly. And the younger people, they loved it. It resonated. And then some people were like, they would make jokes, which drunk driving is not a joke. But the point of it was we're not playing around here. And so, yeah, it was good. And so, yeah, I tailored that messaging. Sorry, I tailored that messaging to a younger generation, of course. But
Nice.
but
Nice.
drunk driving message in general, everybody could relate.
Yeah.
So
I like that. Antonia, how do you educate elected officials or department heads on the value of proactive communication?
that's a challenging one. I don't speak to our elected officials directly. That's just how our operation here runs. So for me, everything that I do is translated later on at the end of the year in a annual report. And so I make sure that that report has every single thing with social media numbers and our stats with our subscribers and all of that information. They get to see a report. I do a presentation at a board meeting, and then they can really truly feel the value of communication and authenticity and what we're transpiring to be here. So, yeah,
Antonia, what skill do you think is most underrated for public communicators today?
that's a tough one. I think like regulating our emotions in the moment, that is hard. It takes practice, and for me, like I'm getting better at this because when I first started here, I was offended when people were like mad online. I'm like, I'm just the messenger. I need to remember that. But, in some ways I take offense to it, like I'm like, they hate me. And my Marla's like, they don't even know you. I'm like, I know, but they hate me. So, but I've gotten better at that. And I encourage everyone to just take a deep breath. I mean, everybody runs into the same things, and I'm part of a lot of groups on Facebook, like the 3CMA group is great, and then
Hmm.
there's another government social media group, and I'm always seeing people posting the same things, and we all go through the same things, which is kind of nice and kind of weird, but it's nice to know that people can relate to you when you need them
Yes.
to, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I think,
Absolutely.
yeah, and just I think that just regulating your emotions, don't get defensive, and just, taking a deep breath and you're all good.
What would you tell a new PIO who's stepping into a community facing role for the first time?
Get a thick skin. No, I'm just kidding. I would say probably to make sure that you're just super organized, more organized and be intuitive on upcoming needs. I did a little EA work back in the day, and that was one thing that I learned, to be intuitive on what's coming next, anticipate on what's next and what you'll need. I'm still kind of newer in the PIO realm. I just started doing the FEMA training classes. So I'm going to be doing the advanced class next, which I'm excited about. I took a great training at Argonne National Labs in December with the former PIO for the state of Illinois. He's great. So I'm still getting into that realm, but I think that, just anticipating on what's next and what you're going to need and when you'll need it. And yeah.
Cool. Looking ahead, what excites you most about the future for local government communicators?
Ooh, um, that's tough. There's so many things that excite me. You know, the use of AI is crazy. Um, I don't want to get myself too involved in that because I think, you get too comfortable and, if you use it as a tool, that's one thing, but I don't want to rely on it. Me personally, I don't want to rely on it. But I'm excited about just different things that we can do with technology and different ways to communicate and find different ways to communicate with our residents. That to me is, I mean, this app for us, that was huge, and so that those kinds of things, different ways to get people's attention and to keep them engaged, that's really what I'm excited for sure.
Okay, last question about public communicators. If there was one mindset shift you wish for every public communicator to make, what would it be?
I think it would be, if this message, like I said earlier, if the message that you're putting out was directed toward you, would you believe it? Like, would you engage with that message? And I think the mindset needs to be, needs to be authentic. We need to always be authentic no matter what. And that's just what I stand on. That's the integrity that I've always had. Whether we are creating news or not, it's got to be authentic.
Right.
Make an
Is
impact.
there is there a question I should have asked, and if so, how would you have answered?
Oh, um, I really love talking about this, so I'm kind of wishing you would have asked what my favorite campaign has been this far in my career.
Did I thought I had something on there? I did not ask it. There is something on there like that, but
Yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, so okay, so I have two actually. The one I'm working on right now actually is not new to Homewood. It's newer for me because we're revamping the program, but it's our veteran banner um, program. So I am really excited. We're gonna do a little ceremony for it, and it's really cool to see all the pictures of veterans in Homewood who have submitted their stuff to me, and I hold that like dear to my heart. So that's the first thing, and then the second one was in 2024 we had that huge cicada emergence in Illinois, if you remember.
Hmm. Oh
And
yeah.
our public works lawn and maintenance supervisor, he was like, Antonia, I really need you to get some stuff out about cicadas. And I'm like, ew, why? Like, gross. Nobody, I don't know anything about bugs. I don't like bugs. I don't like anything like that. So I'm like, how am I going to make this fun and engaging for people when I am not into it myself? And so I was thinking long and hard, and I'm like, what can I do to make it fun and relevant for people? And so I am a huge Taylor Swift fan, actually, a huge Swiftie. And I listen to her whenever I'm creating something as far as like design. She just gives me like this creative juice. I don't know. And so I was thinking, I'm like, all right, I'm going to make a movie poster about cicadas, and that'll just, that'll spark people's attention. And then I did it and I was like, this is lame. Let's scratch this. And then I was like, what if I did the cicada era poster and kind of did like a dupe of her tour poster and just included cicadas on it? And I'm like, okay, this could work. So then I finagled it all and I made it look just like the poster. And the finance director, she sits across from me, and I was like, hey, Amy, I was like, come here for a second, because she's also a Swiftie. She came over and I was like, "Hey, do you think this is cool, or do you like think that it'll be like a flop, like people won't get it?" And she's like, "I love it." And I'm like, "Should I post it?" And she's like, "Yeah, do it." And I was like, "Okay." And so I did, and it blew up overnight. It's not
Nice.
our most viral post, but for back then, it was pretty good. I think it had like it reached like 75,000 or something like that.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
hey, anytime you're getting that kind of reaction
Yeah.
from something, you know you got it right. Awesome.
Yeah, and so then, after that, it was this whole thing where I would recreate every single album cover with a cicada, and I dropped the album each week leading up to the cicada emergence. It was picked up by NBC, like, it got some media attention, we sold T-shirts, people wanted them on shirts, which I thought was wild. Um, but yeah, it's been my favorite one so far, and it was
Nice.
a huge success here, and I loved it, so really proud
Cool.
of that one. Yeah.
Let's switch this up. Rapid fire questions.
God, okay.
Phone call or text?
Ooh, Oh, text.
What word do you hate hearing?
I hate when influencers are like, this is stunning. This is so stunning. 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 Oh my gosh, it's stunning. I hate that. Drives me nuts. All right, keep going.
Favorite adult beverage?
Ooh, a dirty martini with blue cheese olives.
Good stuff. If you could live anywhere, where would it be?
St. Bart's.
Nice.
Mm.
If you could adopt an animal, real or mythical, what would it be?
I don't know. That punch monkey is so freaking cute. Have you seen him? Oh my gosh, I love him already. Yes. Punch monkey or a raccoon, probably.
Okay, I think I have this one already. I know this one. What's the song that gets you moving no matter the mood?
A Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays by NSYNC. I can't believe I just did
See, I
that.
was thinking Taylor Swift. Okay.
I do love her, but that's Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. That's like
Yeah,
my favorite.
I got it.
My favorite.
I got it. Yeah. Play it safe or roll the dice. What's your instinct in a crisis?
Play it safe.
Who do you call or text when you need a gut check?
Well, probably Marla or my fiance Steven, who's fire chief.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Salty or sweet?
I like them both.
That's
Sweet.
okay. You can call that.
I'm gonna
You
do.
can call that.
I'm gonna do sweet. I'm gonna do sweet. I'm gonna do sweet.
Which historical figure would you want to shadow for a day and not just meet?
Princess Diana.
Final thoughts. What key points would you like listeners to take from today's interview?
Say that again.
Key points. What would you like our listeners to take from this interview?
I think don't be afraid to think out of the box on creativity. Always be your authentic self, even when it's challenging. And definitely get a disco light for your office for sure.
As we wrap this up, is there a piece of wisdom or a motto you live by?
Yeah, I have this quote and it's in my office. You can't see it, but it says, be fearless in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire.
Oh, I like that. That's a good one. How can people best reach you if they want to connect or follow up on anything they've heard?
You can reach me on LinkedIn, Antonia Steinmiller, or you can send me an email or
I'll just leave the LinkedIn. I'll put it up on
Okay.
the show notes, and
perfect.
people
Yeah.
get a hold of you from there.
Yeah, perfect. I love that.
Antonia, thank you very much for being on the show.
Thank you. That was so much fun. I had a great time.
Yeah, it was. Thank you.
Thank you.